Yeah.
Which one did you say you were off on?
Stony. Do you know who Stony is?
Yeah.
There's no dates. Oh, shit, there it is.
Yeah.
1920 to 1980.
All right, we'll deal with that later.
Let's find some more dirt. Hell yeah.
Let's make this about the person that we brought up here and disturbed. I'm here with Randy Hall.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here and putting up with us. We never met before this convention.
No, we have not.
But I definitely have been following you on Instagram.
And same to you, as I cannot speak, obviously.
It's all good. It will flow in a moment.
Yeah.
Let's just do the awkward introduction of where you're from originally.
Where I'm from originally is a small town in Virginia called Big Stone Gap. There's actually like a movie about it with like Whoopi Goldberg.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know how well it did in theaters, but the book did really well, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've been tattooing a while.
Should be 18 years this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how'd you end up getting involved in tattooing and making art?
So I was in college. I actually have like a bachelor's in fine arts and associates in graphic design. I was getting tattooed around that time as well, and that's kind of when I started getting the feeling for it. And even they were like, hey, have you ever thought about tattooing?
Mm-hmm.
From there, that's kind of how it went. Took a little while after I graduated college to find somebody to apprentice me. Was lucky enough to get my foot in the door and have just been doing it ever since.
Yeah. When you were first starting to get tattooed, was it anybody like notable in a way? Like, did you seek out certain people right away, or was it just kind of like going to
No, it wasn't like that. I to be honest, I was that annoying customer like that you get in tattoo shops nowadays, and that's why I end up being so patient with a lot of them, because I used to be them.
Right.
Like I was doing all the wrong things. I was saying all the wrong things, like acting the wrong way. And I took that, and that's why I'm patient with them now, because it's just like, if you don't take the time to tell them what they're doing wrong, then they'll keep doing it. They'll tell their friends how to do it. It's a virus that just keeps spreading.
Sure.
So, yeah, I was not seeking out anybody notable because I didn't know anything. Coming from a smaller town, information came by a lot harder. You know, there was no internet. Like, internet was just kind of a beginning thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the information was not out there. And I didn't know who good tattooers were at the time. And, I'm a slow learner, slow starter. Like, I've been held back, but not from anybody. I wasn't held back by people.
Sure.
It was myself, my social skills, my seeking presence, like to seek things out. That's what held me back.
Mm-hmm.
So now I always feel like I'm trying to play catch up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everybody kind of feels that way to some degree, where we always look back and see like, oh, I wish I'd done that, or, if I only know who this person was and who I was dealing with at the time. But
yeah, for sure.
I think that's a common thing with all of us, where we're always like not happy where we're at the moment.
Yeah. But I'm in a really good place now, and it's just like, I'm learning from the people I work with. There's a really young tattooer I work with named Mike Lee, super passionate about tattooing, such an obsessive mind. The kid is accelerating at such an amazing pace, and I'm learning things from him. Like, he's helping me evolve my style, and we all like help each other. We're always like, hey, what do you think of this? What do you think of that?
Mm-hmm.
What can we change? Like, that's the dynamic that our shop has, and it's a really good learning place.
Yeah. I think most of the tattoo artists that I relate with, they all have that kind of obsessive mind in a way. And there was this thing I said to somebody coming in wanting to be an apprentice. And I said, if you want to be a tattoo artist, you have to want it more than I want to teach you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the way it should be. Like, they have to show you that they want it. They have to show you that passion. Otherwise, I don't give a crap about what you're drawing. Like, you're showing me some nonsense that doesn't even relate to tattooing just because you can sketch an apple, make it look realistic. That doesn't mean shit when it goes on skin. Like, you've got to show me more.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But so how did you end up kind of making that transition for yourself?
So all the places I'd worked at until Hero, everybody I worked with, I loved them. They were great people, but they weren't people I could gain knowledge from.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to find someone who I knew that could teach me. And Orrin Hurley, who tattooed my throat and my hand, was from Johnson City. Like he grew up in that town. So like, and that's where I was tattooing at the time, was Johnson City, Tennessee. He told me, hey, this guy Jeff Cribb out in South Carolina, he's starting a new shop. He needs some help. You should go out there. Like, he can teach you the things that you want to know. And when I first got there, the first time I ever visited, one of the craziest experiences of my life, it was before where the Conway shop is where it is now. There was one across the way. And when I first got there, it literally looked like a mechanic's garage. Nothing had been built out or anything like that. And they're working off toolbox. I was like, this is fucking crazy. Like, how the hell am I going to be working out of a garage? And I saw all of Jeff's line drawings for these back pieces hanging up, and they blew my fucking mind.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is where I can learn. This is where I got to be. So as soon as I went back home, I was like, hey, I'm moving to South Carolina.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Going to some of those shops, getting tattoos where it's like people are actively creating new content.
Mm-hmm.
It feels different when you're in those shops as well. It's like, it's inspiring and definitely humbling.
Yeah.
And usually when I'm around people like that, the first thing I think of is like, I got to do more work. I got to draw more.
Oh, yeah.
Because I want to be that same person that has like peacocking, where you have like the drawings all lined up.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's a cool feeling, and it's a cool thing to be around. Do you have any like artists that you've worked with in the past or gotten tattooed by where it's really kind of shifted your perspective on tattooing or changed your direction?
So obviously working under Jeff, he has taught me so many things, and there were a lot of things that he has told me before that made sense, but really didn't hit home until like more recently. Hearing it also from other tattooers, it was just the time where my mind was, it didn't make sense. But now getting older and finally absorbing those things a little bit more, it's the cogs in a clock that they finally are working together. And after I got tattooed by Mike Roper, he was telling me a lot of the same things that Jeff was telling me, and it made more sense, and like things really started to click there and whatnot. I've had a lot of really good experiences with other tattooers as well, but like talking to Mike about how his style was versus how it is now, it made a lot of sense. And like I said, the things that Jeff has said in the past, it's all come together.
Yeah. And
finally the ball's rolling in a direction that I want to see it go. I keep telling people I'm finally doing tattoos I'm comfortable with. Maybe one day I'll get to where I'm happy with them, but like I'm super comfortable with the style that I'm finally like getting into the groove with. So like that's how I'm feeling about where I'm at right now in tattooing.
And that information you were talking about, was it more kind of an approach to the drawing aspect, or just like a mental state, or a way, like a different perspective of thinking things?
It was, I asked him, beforehand he had a super illustrative style. There was a lot more going on, more action, versus now it's more of like a very bold, traditional, more flat, traditional Japanese scenario that he's making now.
Yeah.
And I was like, do you feel like you're ever going to go back to that, or like what made you change? He's like, I was just tired of seeing things come back like 10 years later and half of it's gone.
Right.
So I wanted to see something that's going to stay and be there. And that, I was like, fuck, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And I've been buying a lot of ukiyo-e prints recently. Like my house is covered in them. That's my new expensive hobby right now. So I'm like, absorbing more of that and more, especially with it being in front of my face every night before I go to bed. And that's the style I want to see my tattoos go. So I'm trying to dial back, trying to make them more simple, use the skin to illustrate more than trying to do 8 different colors and wall to wall and whatnot.
Sure.
So, you know, that's the other positive part of working in my shop, is that I'm seeing the other guys do that and I'm absorbing from them and applying that to what I'm doing. Like I said, I'm becoming more comfortable with the tattoos I'm making.
Right. Now, are you focusing at all on like the content as far as, you know, with Japanese tattooing? And I run into this a lot when I do any sort of Japanese work, is I don't really know all the stories in the background, and I'm just kind of like doing what I can with the information I have. And so it's, are you able to find any of that information to kind of make, or to like appease the Japanese as well?
Yes, I'm very fortunate to have some of the friends I do. Tokyo Hero, Bunshin Horitoshi, sometimes Emi Aoki helps me out with Japanese translations as well. I'm always asking them for information, and I'm very gracious for the information they give me.
Right.
Because I always feel like I'm bothering them like constantly. Hey, what's the translation for this or that or this or that, you know? And they help me out a lot, especially when I'm trying to find out more things. Like, books can only tell you so much, and I cannot read Japanese.
Yeah.
So if I can get help, I try and get help for sure, because I want to learn more. Like, want to immerse myself in it. I would love to learn Japanese, but it's a matter of just trying to find more time. There's never enough time in a day.
Yeah. And the other thing I kind of go back and forth with is, like, I like having the ability to try to get it right if I can. I don't know if I do, but there's another part of me that is like, sometimes I don't even care, like, because I'm trying to make something that isn't necessarily like a traditional thing as well. Do you have that as well, or are you trying to focus on trying to make it legit but in your own style?
I try to make it as correct as possible, to be as respectful as I can, especially if it's like a story that I enjoy in particular. You know, like today I pinned on a geisha next to some cherry blossoms, so I was like, well, you know, I could do this spirit. It's called the Kamachi tree spirit, and so that's what I kind of turned it into, and I told her the story behind it, because, like, I want these people to know what they're getting on them.
Sure.
So that they can enjoy it just as much as I enjoy doing it. So if they know the background, sometimes they can get even more enthused, you know? And so that's what I try and do, is not only give them a cool design, but give them the background for it as well, so that they understand more.
Yeah. That's it. It's funny. The more and more I research and the more and more I look, it's like it's a lot on your shoulders as a tattoo artist to keep up with a lot of that stuff.
Oh yeah. It's not easy, but I love buying the books and trying to find the information, and if I can, you know, get as much as I can, I will. Just not every book can give you the information you seek. Like, you're going to find all the pretty pictures you want, but not always the information that needs to go with them.
Sure.
You know, because I've got 3 or 4 books always have in my bag, and I'll constantly keep looking at them, and it'll give you the actors and the name of the play, but it's not telling you what's going on in the picture, and that's what I want to know. So
yeah. And the shop you work at now is something you own as well, or are you?
I am a partner on it. I'm the manager there, so yeah. I'm always at the Myrtle Beach Hero Tattoo.
Nice.
Yeah.
And when did that start out?
We've been open for around 4 years now. Like, it was about 4 years ago, I believe.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It's going well?
Oh, yeah. It's going really well. Like, we do really well up there. Both shops have been going good. We've actually, like, every year we just keep seeing more and more people. They're seeing the Google reviews, and, like, Jeff was super smart to get turned on to giving us a stronger internet presence. we really focused on telling people, hey, give us Google reviews, things like that, because we have to stay in the game. We have to try and keep on a good path to draw more people in. And it's been working, like, telling people to Google review us and things like that. And a lot of the tourists that come in, they're like, oh, we saw all your reviews, that this is where we wanted to be. And that's been helping a lot. But you can't please everybody. There's always going to be that one person, no, you guys are too expensive or this or that. It's just like, you're getting what you pay for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, lifetime guarantee. You'll pay $300 for your shoes, but you want to be cheap on a lifetime guarantee. So, I mean, like, it's always going to be a balance, like trying to figure out that balance.
But I like that you're kind of looking at those things. I was having conversations with my pal over here about some of that stuff, and just like, that's kind of how it is now. As much as we might not want to have to deal with it, or the being on Instagram and having to update it is like another job as well. It's like, that's where the clients are looking, and if you want to be relevant, and especially for me, I'm not well known by any means, but that is a lifeline for me. And so
it's Instagram in particular is the only social presence I have. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Snapchat. I don't have Twitter. I just don't need to have that much time spent on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And even Instagram, I spend too much time on it. Like, I catch myself all the time scrolling through, trying to see what's new and what's relevant.
Right.
And I do waste a lot of time on there, and when I should be doing other things. But that is the one thing that I am on, even though I am not enjoying how it's being ran anymore. And we were discussing this earlier. It's just, it is no longer the app it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's changed for the worse.
Yeah, I agree. But when we were talking earlier, you were saying you might be doing some painting tonight. Are you that ambitious to bring paintings to a convention?
Well, I brought rice paper and I brought brushes to line things with, but I didn't bring, the paints to actually like get way into it.
Right.
And Cosmo that came with JR this weekend, he was like, yeah, let's paint tonight. So I gave him some of my rice paper and we'd sit down and paint. And I started a giant Okiku painting.
Of course you did.
I took the whole sheet up and put a giant ghost on it, and I was like, all right, I'm excited about this one. I'll take it home and finish it. So, and I'm currently working on line drawings for the Good Book 2 project. So I'm, been lining those out on rice paper as well. A lot of the subjects for this book I could turn into Japanese things. So like lining it on the rice paper was really fun, and I'm really excited about what I'm giving them this year as opposed to the first book, because all the stuff I sent them was garbage. So like, hopefully,
so don't buy the book then.
No, I mean buy the book because there was definitely like a lot of cool stuff from really good tattooers, but like like I said, because I'm enjoying the things I'm making more, like I'm more excited to give it to the world, basically.
Yeah. And you've been tattooing, you said 18 years. Has that enthusiasm gotten stronger over time?
Oh yeah, it never dies down. Like I never get bored or feel lackluster with tattooing. Like, it's a wealth of knowledge, and art is always changing. And but I don't know what it is. It's just the more, like I said, it's because I'm finally getting comfortable. It's more exciting. Like, I want to do more and do more. And like, what's the next project? What's the next project? Because I've been very blessed here lately to have customers that are keeping on a very good routine to finish things. I've got a lot of back pieces out there that are completely unfinished, maybe even like on the verge of being completed, but they don't show up.
Right.
And I've had at least 2 or 3 projects here lately that have been consistent and have gotten finished up that I've been really excited about. And, you know, a lot of people will come up to me, oh, I saw that spider torso, and I get so sick. And, you know, I'm super humble about things. I don't take compliments well. Like, they're always much appreciated, but I'm just like, thanks, man. You know, I'm trying. I'm really trying here. So, it's always exciting to see what the next project's going to be.
That's good. It's good to hear. I like hearing people that have been tattooing a while that still have that spark and aren't bitter, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's just like one of those things. People, we do a lot of like walk-in tattooing, like Pinterest tats and things like that. And, you know, the customers will be like, oh, this must be boring for you. I'm like, I'm still going to put 100% into this that I would somebody's back and ass, you know. I'm not going to give you any less. You don't deserve any less. You deserve a fine tattoo as much as that person does. So I'm not going to half-ass this because you think it's boring. Like, to me, it's just as, you know, important.
Mm-hmm.
So I try and put just as much into that as I would something large. They deserve it. That person deserves it. Like, anybody who trusts you enough to let you put something on you deserves nothing but the best out of you. So that's how I feel about that, you know.
And you never know, that person could potentially come back for something that they've seen in your shop. And, you know, if you have those drawings pinned up on the wall, they might be asking questions. And then that's when you have somebody else that's hooked on something that they may not even know that they liked it that much until they start getting deeper into it. And that's a cool thing.
I've got one client who's obsessed with fishing. Like, fishing is what he does a lot of. He's, you know, I did both of his forearms in like different fish that he wanted, and from then on, he was like, you know, I want to get my back done. I was like, well, how about Oniwaka Maru and the giant carp? And I told him the story about it. He's like, I love that. Let's do it.
Hell yeah.
Came steadily, and like finished his whole back out, and now he's like, I want to do my ribs now. So like he's slowly just going everywhere, and it's so awesome because he's way into it now. You know, it's like you show them what's possible, and then their mind gets obsessed with it, and then they enjoy it so much that they're like, yeah, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Let's do this. And they're getting covered by you, and it's awesome.
That's great. So tell me a little bit about the dynamic at the shop. Like, who else is working with you?
So I have Mike Lee and Jason Motley and Jeff Cribb as well. Like, Jeff is the owner of Hero Tattoo, both of them, and he works a couple days a week at the shop. Otherwise, he's at the Conway location, making sure everything's running well there. And just all of us together, it's like a fucking powerhouse.
Yeah,
you know, we feed off each other so well, and you know, Jason's making these sick biker tats, and he's getting real passionate about tribal. He just made hats like that look like the Trump hats that say make tribal great again, you know, and like he's really feeding into that, and it's amazing. He's making such cool stuff, and Mike is obsessed with animals, and he makes these amazing animal heads or just animal tattoos. Like, I saw him the other day working on a manatee, and it was fucking flawless. Like, he was using just like gray and skin to show all the folds in it, and it was fucking amazing. Mind blowing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And Jeff can do anything, bro. He's making these amazing animals or amazing dragons, Japanese back pieces, Polynesian sleeves. Like, he's doing it all. Like, he is the powerhouse, and that's what he's built this company on. That's
great. Yeah, it sounds like from that description, if you wanted a tattoo, no matter what you wanted, you could get it there.
Oh yeah. Like, nobody's limited or pigeonholed themselves into one style. We try and be the jack of all trades shop. Somebody there is going to be able to take care of what you want, no matter what you want, within the limitations, of course. You know, like if somebody coming in with watercolor stuff, we're like, hey, this needs a black outline. We definitely will maneuver our customers. We won't tell them no. We'll just be like, hey, this is the better idea. And if they want to fight us on it, if it gets to the point, sometimes I'll just be like, look, I'm not going to put anything on you that I wouldn't put on myself. This has to last. And you need to understand that.
Yeah.
So we definitely try and do the best customer service we can, because if you don't get them in now, they're never coming back.
Sure. Yeah. Or they're going somewhere else.
Exactly. And we definitely don't want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have any funny stories about tattooing or? Yeah, I don't know. I put you on the spot because my brain just farted out.
Well, I mean, honestly,
like pass it off to you.
Ask
me a question so I can stall.
I'm really kind of a boring person. I'm not very exciting. I'm not a partier. I don't get into a lot of crazy shit, and usually any crazy stories are more likely somebody else's stories that I witnessed, or something like that. But
do you have a family?
Yes, actually, my baby girl was born in February.
Yeah.
And
congrats.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, she's coming up on 3 months, and it was a very tough start, but she's doing really well now, and it's like I'm missing her badly.
Yeah. I bet. Yeah, the weekend is a long time when they're that young, huh?
Yeah. So she spent the first month of her life basically sedated. Like, she got really sick and had to be transferred to a couple hospitals. And, the doctors are like, she's behind because she's been asleep for a month. Watching her finally catch those social cues that they're telling they need to see, she's finally like looking at me more and like getting smiley, and that smile's worth everything.
Oh.
Like, as much as I love tattooing, I would trade it for that smile alone. Like it means the world.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And what's been the adjustment for tattooing with the family now? Because few of my buddies have families, and I just watch them.
Yeah. I have a lot of people like, where the hell you find all this time to paint? And when she was sick and in a hospital, like on my days off, we would go rent hotel rooms just so I wasn't driving an hour each time, because that's what was happening. I was driving an hour every morning to go see her before I went to work. And so on my days off, we would go rent a hotel, and I would paint till like 3 a.m. and then wake up, when we go see her and whatnot. And that's how I was finishing some of those larger ones, the more recent ones. I try and find time where I can. Mm-hmm. Like, I try and do as much work as I can while I'm at work to do whatever I can to finish any projects, start any projects, get further in any projects as far as painting, drawing, tattoos, all of it is concerned. And then on my way home, I'll call my girl. I'll talk to her about whatever may have happened or went wrong during the day, so she could do the same thing. We get anything that may be negative throughout the day out in my phone call during home, so that when I'm home, we can just enjoy each other, enjoy the baby, and go from there. She's been absolutely wonderful mom, because she takes care of her all throughout the day and at night, because she's up and down sometimes during the night. I'm completely asleep. I don't think there's anything happening until I wake up in the morning. She's like, yeah, she's been up like every hour. And I'm like, why didn't you wake me up? Oh, you're going to work in the morning. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, I'll find a way. I'll find a way to work around that. Like, it doesn't matter if I go to work half asleep. I will wake up by the time I get there, still complete the tattoos. Like, it's important to me that this is a 50-50 thing. It has to be. Like, I can't let you take the brunt of it all, or else, you're going to crumble. And I don't need that. Like, I don't want that to happen. You don't deserve that. You carried her for 9 months and was so uncomfortable for the last 3 or 4 of it. Like, you need to have your time as well. And I try and stress that to her, but she's she's so amazing with her and me.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you guys got a good bond and communication there. So
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
She's literally the best person I've ever been with. Not like anybody else wasn't good to me. I wasn't always the best person, like especially with relationships. I was really shitty, and I was not a good person, and burned a lot of bridges, lost a lot of friends. And finally being with her, having a child, my mind is in such a better place, and I can not only apply that to my life, but also to tattooing, because that's becoming better as well. It's not just my home life, my heart, my mind, it's my tattooing as well. Everything is finally stepping forward into a more positive direction. And if I hadn't been such a fool in the past, maybe it would have been even better now, So I don't regret the things that happened, or else I wouldn't be where I'm at now. Things could have changed completely. But I do wish I had been a better person, quicker.
Yeah. I mean, I can relate most of that, but I think the best thing about that is that it propels you to a more positive direction.
Yeah.
And whatever trials I look at myself as just being like, it's not me anymore.
Yeah.
But I have that chance to know what the other side of it is and pick a direction.
Exactly. And I mean, even though I was not a good person, at least I can help my daughter out when she grows up. If there are those warning signs for her, it's like, hey, this may happen. You need to be aware of this, because I used to be like that, and you don't need to be around that, or you don't need to be that person. And I try and take anything negative that's happened to me or that I've done, and always see the more positive aspect of it that you can get out of it. I don't know. It's being around DJ Rose, probably one of the most positive people I've ever met. He's had hard times in his life, and he's still it's all good. Everything's good. And even when everything with my daughter was going rough, it's no, she's going to beat this. It is going to be okay, because she was at her sickest. And when we finally got to see her, and finally got to touch her, she immediately got better. Everything changed around. Even the doctors were it was crazy. You touched her and she immediately started getting better. And I have to put that positive aspect always first, because I spent so much of my life living in a negative aspect, and it drains you. It sucks the life out of everything. It's not worth living like that. And if you can think the opposite way, you have so much less stress on your shoulders, so much less problems, things like that to deal with,
That's good, man. I really appreciate it. I like it when people can share about where they're at, and it's a good positive thing. And I think I got a lot out of it for sure.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good positive note to end on, if you'd like.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Could you tell me your Instagram account and shop account as well?
Yeah. At Randy Hall HT, RandyHallHT, and we have Instagram accounts for both shops, at Hero Tattoo MB and at Hero Tattoo.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure to meet you.
Absolutely.
I hope keep in touch with you.
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to get a picture with you, all right?
Yeah.
Let me squeeze it.